Shnu.
Hey Jules.
She logged in already.
Yep. Hi Shona. How you doing everybody? I hope you're all okay.
You got that duvet cover on yet, Shona?
Right, we're gonna get... Hi Fiona.
Hi Fiona.
So, we're gonna get started in a couple of minutes. Today's session is targeted flexibility session for your hips. Most people sit around at work all day, driving around a car, come home after sitting around all day, and oh, the big telly, Shona. How exciting. Come home and sit on the sofa and watch crap on TV all night, if they're anything like me. So, your hips, which are designed to be in this extended position. If you keep it to a dull roar, dear, that would be great. We got Dita helping us, as you can see. She's just warming up my mat for me. Your hips are meant to be used in this extended position, and all day you sit around in a flexed position, and very quickly your hips get very tight, and then you start to suffer. You start to suffer with problems in your pelvic area. You start to suffer with low back pain. You're not as flexible as you could be. And gravity yoga is not like any yoga you've done before, because it's specifically intended, big telly, to address extreme close-up of cat. It's intended to address certain areas where we have problems. And what we're going to do today is a hip series that will last about an hour, and it will hopefully help to get you a bit more flexibility in your hips. Gravity yoga is a very specific way of doing yoga, and so I'll invite you please to sit down on your mat on the floor. Cross your legs in front of you if you can. If you can't, just get comfy, however you want. When I started doing this, I couldn't even cross my legs in front of me on the floor, and now I'm not too bad. So, there are three principles to gravity yoga. The first one of these is wet noodle, and as we go along you'll understand that actually, apart from getting yourself in and out of the position, you just stay there and you let gravity do all the hard work. The second thing is 4-8 breathing. So when we are in our pose, our posture, call it what you will, we settle into a routine of breathing in through the nose for 4. So 4, 3, 2, 1. Inflating our lungs, pushing the air down into the belly, and then breathing out again for 8. So 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And by breathing in this way, what we're doing is we're reassuring our parasympathetic nervous system, so the fight or flight part of ourselves, that actually whilst we're in a position which may expose our soft and juicy parts to the bears that lurk in the woods, actually we're quite safe and nothing's going to come of it. So by having your parasympathetic nervous system work with you, by using this very specific type of breathing, you're able to stretch further, and you're able to stretch further for longer. So we'll worry about that when we get to it. The third thing about gravity yoga is if you practice regularly, you want to meet or beat the previous time that you've spent in a posture. Today I'll be in charge of the timing, so you don't need to worry about anything. If I was you, I would get some of your favourite music on in the background and tune into that and just let the posture be. That's my advice. Just find something else to focus on, have the telly on in the background, whatever you like, it's up to you. And without any further ado, we're going to get up onto our feet. And I won't kid you, everything of mine hurts because I've been doing this every day for the last 2 weeks. Hi Christine Brown, hi there. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with some moon squats to warm ourselves up. Small cat in the background permitting. So a moon squat, hands into the sky, feet slightly wider than hip width apart, and then squat all the way down as far as you can. Now what you don't want is for your knees to collapse inward as you're squatting, so make sure that your knees go out as you go down. And we're going to do 3 rounds of 5 here. Squat as far as you can. If you can't get all the way down to the floor, stop here, stop whenever's comfortable. Last one, and we'll just wait for a second or two. Wobble your hips a bit, maybe sway a bit. You've got music on, have a wee dance to yourself. And then we'll start again. So arms up, all the way back, and down you come. Breathing in on the way up, and out on the way down. What we're doing here is we're warming up all the major muscle groups, we're warming up our joints, we're preparing our body psychologically for a period of exercise.
Major muscle groups.
Major muscle groups. Salute when you say it. One last round of these, and then we'll go into our first pose. So, in and down. Excellent work. Allow me a moment to move my small feline assistant. How do you sit here, Deets? Good girl. The first pose we're going to do today is called blaster pose. Now, if you want to come into it from a yoga point of view, you can come at it from downward facing dog. If you don't want to come at it from downward facing dog, stand towards the front of your mat, lunge back as far as you can, and then drop that back knee to the floor. Drop that back knee to the floor, then onto your hand, your knee. You want your foot at the back to be flat, the surface on the floor if you can. If you can't, don't worry about it. And what we're going to do now is turn your front foot, so the foot's in front of you, out slightly. Rotate it maybe around to about 45 degrees out the way. And then just bring your hands up, either in line with the foot, you can get further than that, ahead of the foot. If you can't go that far, you see Justin doesn't go very far in this stretch because he's very tight through his hips. Just bring your hands wherever it's comfortable and relax. Now, as I said, gravity yoga is about becoming like a wet noodle. So really, once you're in the pose, just let gravity do the work. If you're quite flexible, you might want to drop your arms down onto the floor. If not, just stay there. So, whilst we are all enjoying this wonderful stretch, let me talk a bit about what's happening here. Our leg that's out behind us, stretched out behind us, is extended through the hip flexor. So your hip flexor, you should be feeling it in here. That's fine. You might get some sore muscles while we're doing this. Don't worry about that. Worry about any sharp shooting joint pain. That's not normal. If you tremble, fine. If your legs hurt like hell, fine. As long as it's muscle pain, it's not a problem. So we're extended through our back hip, which is where we've seen we have problems because we sit around all day. This is counteracting that sitting around all day. Our front leg is flexed through the hip, through the knee, and by putting your foot out towards the side, slightly pointing your toes away at 45 degrees, you are externally rotating that joint, which is another thing you don't do an awful lot of. While we're here, let's think about our 4-8 breathing. So breathing in through the nose for 4, and out through the mouth for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's take a second or two to think about our breathing pattern here. Congratulations if you heard my
Oh.
shoulder clack
Was
there.
that your shoulder? Oh yeah.
One more breath here. Okay, excellent. Now we're just going to bring ourselves out of this pose. We'll go down into child's pose.
Oop.
So basically, hands straight out in front of you, drop your bum back towards your heels. And then we come up, arms flat on the floor in front of you, hands gripping the floor, legs out behind you. And then just raise yourself slightly up into what they call Sphinx pose, which just counteracts the flexion that you've experienced in your left hip and lets that stretch out a wee bit. Just breathe normally here, there's no need for fancy breathing here. And then slide your hands back in line with your chest. Push yourselves up onto your hands and knees. If you want to come into down dog, come into down dog. If you don't, stand up and lunge back with the other leg. For those of you that are in down dog here, swing that foot around. And bring yourself back down into the pose, but this time on the other side. Okay?
Take that forward.
Take that forward and lunge forward onto that front leg. So we've got the lovely extension now through the left hand side and our flexion and rotation on this right hand side. If you started the opposite side from me, doesn't matter, I don't really care. Relax into the pose, be a wet noodle, think about your breathing. If you've got music on, listen to music. You might find when you're down here that your different sides have different levels of stretchiness and flexibility. Totally normal, quite normal. Everybody is different. Whilst your body is designed to be symmetrical, given the way we all live these days, very unlikely that you will be exactly the same level of flexibility on each side. You'll also find that some days you're more flexible than others. I encourage you to listen to what your body's telling you. Don't force yourself to go further than you can. If your body's saying, no, that's enough for today, just find your happy place and stay in it. Focus on your breathing, in through the nose for 4.
I was in bed in my happy place, you got me up.
Shut your pie hole. Out through the mouth for 8. He wasn't in bed, he was doing the washing. You might find this stretch goes up into your back or down into your calves. Again, totally normal. Everything's connected, it all works together. That's the way it was designed. So we'll take our last breath here. And then we'll just walk ourselves out of it. Down into child's pose. And then forward onto our arms, stretching our legs out behind us, and just hold it in Sphinx for a minute or so. Fingers on the floor. You want to be making a dome or an arch with your hands by digging your fingertips in. Just breathe normally here. For our non-bendy yoga novices or beginners or people that don't do this a lot, I hope you're enjoying it. Stick with it. You will definitely feel the benefits of it afterwards. And just relax and enjoy this space. With the Sphinx, you should be looking straight ahead. Don't strain your neck if that's too much for you. Just look slightly down and onto the floor. Lower your head to the floor. Hands by the chesticles. And then push up and through. Again into child's pose. And then we're going to sit up and we're going to come round, sit on our bums. And we're going to take this into butterfly pose. Now, for some of you, this might be quite an intense stretch. If you want to put a pillow under your bum, raise yourself off the ground a wee bit. And what we're going to do is we're going to put the soles of our feet together, and we want them to be in the middle and about 2 fist distances, which is not easy to say, away from our groin. Kitten, leave Dita alone. Dita, stop biting, you've not got any teeth, love. Okay, there's a cat drama unfolding to my right. So get yourself comfy here. If your knees are uncomfortable being this high off the ground, you might get some blocks under them. Again, you can lift yourself up by sitting yourself on a pillow or some such. And what we're going to do now is we're going to take our hands with palms up in front of us, raise them into the air, and then I want you to not bend forward from the waist, but hinge forward from the hips, keeping your body upright, palms upwards out in front of you, and then put your hands on the floor, next to your feet if you can, on your shins if that's more comfortable. Find your happy place where you start to feel the stretch and just settle there. And we're going to stay here. Some of you might be able to go further. I can't, this is as far as I can go at the minute, but that's fine. If you can't go that far, sit up straight. But don't, whatever you do, collapse your back down and let it round forward. You're hinging up through the pelvis, from the pelvis, and then folding forward from the hips. Think about your breathing. We've got our Gravity Yoga 4-8 breath. So in through the nose for 4. Out through the mouth for 8. Now, the point of this kind of breathing, if I get my different breath types in a row, this is called Whiskier, and it's to suppress the fight or flight response that makes you not want to sit like this in case a bear sneaks up behind you and bites your face off. So by doing this, we're telling our central nervous system, the fight and flight response, everything's fine. I know I'm in an odd position, but go with me here because we're quite safe. Unless of course I get attacked by a cat, which is entirely likely to happen at any time. If you feel yourself rounding down, sit yourself up again and fold forward from the hips. Be like a wet noodle. So let gravity take your knees, push them towards the floor. Let gravity help with the stretch in your back. And again, we've got this lovely outward rotation in the hip, and we've got this lovely extended flexibility through the joint. Feel it in your hips, might feel it in your legs, might feel it in your ankles. My ankles screamed when I started doing this, they didn't like it at all. You might feel it in your lower back, you might feel it further up your back, it's all fine. Last breath here. Excellent. Now, to counteract that flexion and rotation, I'm going to go into a tabletop pose for 5 rounds. If you have sore shoulders or sore wrists, what you can do is just push yourself up into a glute bridge. Justin's going to be doing the glute bridge option because he's hurt his wrist somehow. I suspect Dieter slept on it awkwardly. For tabletop pose, hands behind you, fingers pointing forward, push your hips up, look towards the ceiling. And down. Number 2. And down. Number 3. And down. Number 4. And down. Last one here. And down. Excellent work. How are we all feeling so far? Good, I hope.
Oh, me hips.
Oh, your hips, that's the
Ooh,
point.
me hips.
Oh, your hips. Oh, me bleeding hips. Now, want to grab yourself a wee drink.
Oh, me hips.
Give yourself a rub down with the damp chamois. The next pose we're going to go into is reclining pigeon. Some of you will love this, many of you will not.
I won't.
Don't feel bad about it. It's a very intense pose. And for reclining pigeon, if you're coming at it from the yoga point of view, you are in down dog. You bring your knee across your hand, drop it to the floor, lie yourself down. If you can't do that, that's entirely understandable. What you might want to do is just pull your front foot in towards the midline, bend your back knee. I don't know if you can see me here, I'll turn sideways on and do it. So for those of you that are not fully reclining as pigeons, you will want to bend that front knee forward, just sit with your back knee behind you, and then bend forward over your knee. For those of you that are a bit more flexible in the hips, you are going to come up, across, settle yourself down into pose. Hands out in front of you. And become a wet noodle. So just flump onto the floor. Feel the stretch through the hip. The small muscle you can feel here that's burning is your piriformis. If you're a skier, it's very important to let you make a plough position. Turn your toes inwards. This is a tough one, folks. Things will shake. Things will probably hurt quite a lot. Don't feel bad about that. Just count your breathing. Listen to my dulcet tones. Think of how lucky Justin is to have such a lovely, inspiring wife. Breathing in through the nose for 4, out through the mouth for 8. The revolution will not be televised. Right about now, your backside should be burning. That's a good thing. If it's too intense, Justin's toilet a bit there, you can bring yourself up a bit. Bring yourself onto the flats of your arms. If you need a block, do you need a block? Get a block or a pillow under yourself to lift yourself up a bit. But mostly focus on your breathing and being a piece of wet noodle. Last breath here. Put your hands under and gently push yourself back up. That's a tough one. You can stretch yourself back into what they call camel pose. So you either come from your heels, or you can bend your toes under and just flex yourself back until you can touch your heels. If you can't do it, don't worry about it, just let your arms drop in midair. Head back towards the ceiling. If you can touch your toe, touch your heels, that's grand. Don't try it if you can't. Very intense stretch down the quads there. Good work. And now, with the terrifying inevitability of having two sides that do the same stuff, I invite you to join me on the other side. So, get yourself into position, either just plop yourself down on the floor, or if you want to come at it from downward dog, across and down. And then just get yourself down here into wet noodle, relax, feel the stretch, let gravity do the work. Once you're in position and settled in, you don't need to care what you look like from the side or from anywhere else, just start your breathing in through the nose for 4 and out through the mouth for 8. You find you get cramp in your foot, just straighten that foot up, otherwise point the toes. You get cramp anywhere else, stop and shake it out. Your muscles start to tremble, it's totally fine, don't worry about that. You will get discomfort because you don't normally stretch like this. That's fine, just go with it. Keep your breathing up and ignore it. If you get any sharp shooting joint pain, you need to stop immediately. Not long to go now.
Hello, Lola.
Hi, Papa. Last breath here. Hi, Papa.
Hello.
Right, slide your hands back, unfankle yourself. Hello, Papa. Are you going to help? Lola's helping now by sitting on the instructions. She's doing this by osmosis, but I remember what comes next, which is camel pose. Swap onto your knees, bend yourself back, reach for those heels if you can. Yes, Lola. Stay Stay there while I clear the cat away. See what comes next. What comes next is a doozy, folks. And I enjoy. You gotta help her, cat. Hi, love pal.
Need your help a push push.
So,
Meow meow meow.
this one is called double pigeon or stacked logs. For many of you, just sit on your bums and we'll see where we go now. Justin is cringing, he knows what's coming next. However, so lots of people can't sit with the legs crossed in front of them. I know I certainly couldn't when I started this a couple of months ago. This is a very intense pose. So what I would suggest is pick a leg, put it on the floor, take another leg, bring it over on top.
Like so.
Yeah, that leg's got to go over as well. So basically, we're sitting ourselves up and we're trying to turn our legs into stacked logs. If you can't do that, that's fine. Put your legs further out in front of you and then just bring one ankle over one heel onto the other leg. If you can only stack your feet to start with, that's fine. Once your feet are stacked, you're bringing yourself up and hinging forward from the hips. Eventually, things will move closer, it will go deeper, and you'll get to a point where your legs should look like a stack of logs. Mine don't quite yet, not on this side, they do almost on the other. Hands on your knees, and start to think about your breathing whilst I start my clock. So with this, you're getting that lovely outward rotation on the hip, which is not something we do a lot of, which is why this hurts. All hell may break loose very soon, because what Lola doesn't realise is that Madison is sitting behind her, watching her. What's that? There's Madison, Lola.
Snoo snoo.
Madison and Lola are not friends. All hell may soon erupt in this household. I have to run away, stay in position.
I'll run. Well.
Yeah, I'll have them caught before you're off the floor here. Think of your breathing. Oh no, the Secretary of State for Scotland has COVID. That's a terrible shame. Don't let your shoulders creep up to your ears. If you find that happening, relax yourself down. We're hinging forward from the hips as far as we can. If you can't go far, that doesn't matter. Think about your breathing. In through the nose for 4. And out through the mouth for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last breath here. Good stuff. Unthankle yourself. That is a very intense stretch.
Oh, Jesus.
Give everything a shake and a wobble. You know what's coming now, don't you? We're swapping sides. So, when you're ready, whatever leg was on top last time goes on the bottom this time. And you swap yourself over. I couldn't do this at all 2 months ago. If you need to sit on a block, raise yourself up a bit. That gives a bit of help on getting in position. Get yourself in position. One side will inevitably be more flexible than the other. That's totally normal, it's totally fine. And hinge up through your hips and flex. Arms on knees, arms wherever it's comfortable at this point. If you can, bend forward, bring your hands together in the middle, wherever you're comfy. Then start to think about your breathing. Be a wet noodle, let gravity take over and push your knees towards the floor. You may have muscle soreness, quite normal. You may have trembling in the legs by now, also quite normal. What we don't want is sharp shooting joint pain. If that's the case, then just stop immediately. Think about your breathing. Think about anything apart from how sore your legs are. Hi Lola. Last breath here. Lola Madison is right there. Okay, we're just going to slowly reverse out of here. Give everything a waggle. Yes, Lola, have you seen Madison now?
Would appear so.
I don't think she has.
No, she has. She popped up.
And just to reverse this, we've had a very intensive rotation and flexion. We're going to come right onto our hands and knees. If you've got sore wrists or shoulders, forearms on the floor. And we're going to take ourselves up into a plank and hold. Yay! Feel that lovely extension through your hips. Drop our knees, down into child pose. Back up into plank again. If you want onto your forearms in the plank, that's totally fine. Onto our knees, back into child pose. Listen to the siren going past the hospital, the ambulance on its way up or down the hill.
Yeah. They're off to the Gobles to get the medicines. Alcohol poisoning.
Yeah, the Smiths started early this morning, folks. If you know them, they've been on it since 11. Naughty boys. And one last time. We're going to come up into plank. Feel that lovely stretch through our hips. You can drop down onto your forearms. That's totally okay. If you want to do a half plank, drop the knees, that's totally fine too, as long as you get that lovely stretch through the hips. Excellent. Right. The next thing we have in store is called a jackknife blaster. And you need a wall for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to gather a moment or two to get to a wall. And then I'm going to have Justin hold the camera for a second whilst I demonstrate what you're going to do against the wall. Okay? So find yourself a wall. Justin pointing this at me.
Oh, it's pointing at me at the moment.
Alright, okay, we'll turn it in that way. Hold it that way. Right, so you'll need a pillow for your knee and you'll need a wall. What we're going to do, we did blaster at the very start. This is much the same, except this time, breaking it.
No, I'm not breaking it.
Justin's breaking it because he's touching things that he shouldn't be. Right.
I've not touched the thing.
You're on the wrong side to see what's happening. So, shh. Follow me down onto the floor. And what I'm doing, Justin, you need to try and get this on the camera. Okay, you're not getting on the camera. Okay, so what I'm doing is I've got my...
Can you not turn it around so that I can see it?
No, I can't. What I'm doing is I've got my... Can you see that? Hang on. I've got my back foot up the wall, 90 degrees, knee on the floor. Hold that there. I'm going to bring my other foot round. Yeah. Slide it forward like we did for blaster. Yeah. And then we're going to stay here. Okay, so I'm going to put Justin into this position.
Aye.
He laughs as much as he wants. Against the sofa is quite good. Against the chair. There you go, dear. I'll put this back up and I'll position it so that you can see what we're doing. And then we're going to hang around in blaster for a couple of minutes to really intensify that stretch. Okay? So I'm going to go down again. I hope you can see me. If not, I'll try and reposition myself.
So am I putting my foot up on the chair? Basically.
You're putting your back leg at an angle against your flat surface. Get a pillow under that knee. Bring your front foot forward. Pass your hands, point out the way. And then just relax into the pose. If you can get your arms down, brilliant, go as far as you can. I hope you can see what I'm doing. I think you can. That's it. And then once you're down, settle into your breathing. So 4 in through the nose and 8 out through the mouth. You'll feel this in your quad, and you'll feel it through your hip. You're allowed to say "aya" as Justin did.
No, I just went all year actually. I didn't say yeah.
Hello, Lola.
I actually managed to stretch a bit further than I thought I could.
There you go. So Justin's stretching further than he thought he could. Lola's hiding under the front of my mat. Hi, lollipops. Hiya, babe.
We're going to have to get cat-proof yoga mats.
That's it. To invent cat-proof yoga mats.
Chop chops.
Remember your wet noodle. You shouldn't be struggling to stay in position. Hold yourself up as best you can. If this is too much stretch for your hands, put them on a block or on a cushion, put them on a chair. You can stretch further, bring yourself down onto your forearms. Last breath here. And then slowly unbankle yourself from this position. How was that? It's a lovely stretch for your quads, I think you'll agree. Grab a wee drink, you know what's coming next. We're going to swap sides. Ooh-ah. Yes, Justin's loving it. You can tell by his infectious giggling how much fun he's having. And when we're ready, I'm going to take your other leg. You're going to put it up against your straight thing, whether it's a wall, whether it's a sofa, whatever it happens to be. You're going to walk that other knee round. Rotate the foot out slightly. When you're in position, oops, there we go, and just enjoy the stretch and start your breathing. So love down.
To love down.
If you're lucky, you'll be able to hear Justin singing along to the radio. We're listening to the Huey Show on Radio 6 because it's Huey and he's awesome. The music's not bad. So you should be feeling this in your quad, pulling your hamstring. I think Lola's about to jump onto the place where the camera is, so if we start to wobble along,
No.
It's not an earthquake, it's a cat. Get up, pal. She doesn't know she's there.
She does. She absolutely does.
There's some cat taunting going on in this house. Madison doesn't like Lola, and Madison's sitting about 3 feet above where Lola's currently sitting and just contemplate whether she's going to pounce on her or not. Last breath in and out. Lovely work, and we're just going to bring ourselves up. Unthankful yourself, if you will. All good. Knocked on my water again for the second time today. Top work. And it's time. We're going to reset in downward dog. Hello, Mark Leask. How are you? Awesome. So, downward dog. What we're going to do here is we're going to take our hands out in front of us. You can start with bended knees if you want. Feet about hip width distance apart.
What can I do? Because I can't put that weight on my wrist at the moment.
Then, if you can't put your weight on the wrist, what I suggest is just bend over, just do a forward fold. And we're going to hold it here 30 seconds. And then we're going to chuck a twist into the mix, just because we can. Now, if you need to bend your knees with downward dog, that's fine. If you need to bend your elbows, also fine. What you want is to make a dome or an arch with your hands. So dig your fingers in, dome those fingers. If it's very intense on your shoulders, just slide your shoulder blades down and back. Okay? And now I want you to take your left hand across and grasp your right ankle. You're going to put a bit of twist in there. Think about your breathing, just breathe normally just now because this is not actually a pose, it's just a reset. Couple more seconds here. Take your hand back and swap sides with a twist. So if you're following me, right hand onto left ankle. Now you might find one side is bendier than the other, that's fine. You might find one side twists better than the other, that's also fine. You're feeling this in your hamstrings and across your lats. All good.
Bottom of my back.
Bottom of your back, absolutely fine. Everything is connected through front and back chains, connective tissue. Both hands back on the ground in front of you. And just walk yourself back up. So, you'll be glad to know that we're almost done. We've got one more pose we're going to go into. And in this pose, you are going to take your legs as far apart as you need to. And you're just going to bring yourself down and squat. It's called a passive squat. Go as far as you can. If you can get all the way down to the floor, that's great. Put your hands in front of you on the floor. Make sure you're sitting back on your heels. Head just looking down from your feet. Or at your cat. Hi, Dita. Hi, babe. We're going to stay here for a minute. And just let yourself settle into the squat. Which is a lovely place to be. It's how your body was designed to sit. It's how your body was designed to defecate. If you're having problems with going for a poo, bring your knees up towards your chest. Put your body into the position it should be in for going for a poo, not sitting on a very Western toilet. Couple more seconds here. Excellent stuff. And now, I'm just going to sit back onto the floor. Not very dainty, but effective. Dainty. I am nothing if not dainty. Ask anybody who knows me.
No,
At least I can get onto the floor without having to crawl around for 20 minutes. And we're going to go into corpse pose, which basically is lying on your back with your hands by your side. I'm moving over a bit because Justin is encroaching on my space with his giant wings. There we go. So just relax, lie on the floor, and allow your muscles to settle back and to firm up. Hi, Lola. Because you've stretched them, obviously what we want to do is to let our muscles just to settle back into this new stretched place.
Dita.
We want them to firm up in this new stretched place. And by just lying here, it lets your muscles just relax. It lets the breathing come back to normal, the pulse come back to normal. If it wasn't for Justin talking all the time, it's really quite relaxing. So let's just be quiet for a moment or two, shall we? Just breathe normally here. There we go. And that, folks, was the cats telling us that it's time to come out of corpse pose and just sit cross-legged for a second while we reset our breathing.
You
Not
beast.
friendly. I told you she hadn't seen it. Sit with your legs crossed in front of you, and we're going to do what's called water breathing, which is just 4 in and 4 out through the nose. And this helps to reset our bodies and just bring our back from having been in a place of exercise and stretching to just being in a place of getting on with your day. So in through the nose for 4, out through the nose for 4. Excellent. Thank you for joining me. That's just a couple of minutes before 2 o'clock. In these mad and troubled times, I'm here every day at 1. Stay safe, stay indoors, take excellent care of each other, and be kind. Bye.